So let's start the container 2, right? So for container 2, we're just going to give it the same. Let's give it the same width, right? Container 2. I don't want my container 2 to have any background color. Let's say just inherit from the parents. So I'm going to give it a width, right? I'm not applying max width to these containers because I already have a universal selector that adds max width to all of them. Width. Just give it a width of 80%, right? And then I'm going to give 80%, and then I'm going to give it I'm going to make it, let's just shift to the middle, right? So margin. Let me put back my background color to see what I'm doing, right? Background color pink. So let me push this to the middle. Margin 0 or 2. So it has moved to the middle, right? And then I'm going to give it a border radius also. So border radius of 10 pixels, just like the first one. Yeah, cool. So yeah, so my button, let me design my button. So I can just remove this pink. I don't need it. I want that. So my button. Yeah, for my button. So I want to give my button, I want my button to take let's just leave the color there, right? Let's leave the color there first of all for now. So I want my button. Let's design the buttons, right? So I want my button to, I want the cursor to be pointer first of all. So when I hover on the button, because now it's not showing anything. When I hover on the button, it's will the mouse will turn to pointer, be like a thing hand, right? So now it's not a pointer, right? Then I want it to have a padding, right? Let me give my, let's say a padding of 7 pixels, right? Cool. And then let's give it, let's make our the text thicker. So let's say font weight border. Let's say border. Right. So it's thicker now. And then let's give it of course, let's give both buttons a border radius, right? So border radius 7 pixels. Cool. So I've given both buttons a border radius. Now these things, all these properties here are applied to both buttons. Now there's some things I don't want to be applied to both buttons. So I'm going to use my ID to style the rest differently. So BTN1, select by ID, you put the hash symbol, and then you put BTN, you put the name of the ID, right? So BTN1, I'm going to open this, and I'm going to give the BTN1, of course, is filling, right? So I'm going to give it a background color. I want that to have a background color of steel blue. Right? Cool. And then let's scroll up. And then I want it to have I want it to have the color, right? I want the color of my text to be Alice blue, right? Yeah, that is better. And then I want my width, the width of my button, right? Let's make the width 150 pixels. Cool. Right. So we have the width of 150 pixels. But remember, even in smaller screen, it will not still like the max width we hold it down. So even in smaller screen that is supposed to budge out, it's not going to budge out because of the max width, right? So we have width of 150 pixels. And then let's design with respect to state. So when I hover on my button, I want it to behave a certain way. So I'm going to edit the over the button with the state over. So just to do that, you just put the ID and the button and the name, of course, the ID name, and then put colon, then over, right? Just like this. So on over, I want the background color of my button to change. So over on it, I want it to be Alice blue, and I want the text to be still blue. So still blue. Cool. So works well. Makes sense. So yeah. So let's give this let's for if you look at this now, as I come here, the transition is very, very sharp. So let's make the change in color a bit slower. So let's give it a transition, right? Let's give it a transition of just 0.3 seconds should do 0.3 seconds, right? So now it's a bit slow compared to before. The change in color, it's a bit slow compared to before. If I comment this out, come here, it's very sharp. But now that we have transition, it's a bit slow, right? So it's not so sharp. So transition, we have 0.3 seconds. And then let's give it a border radius of 30 pixels. I want it to be that when I hover on it, the border radius changes and the padding changes. So let's give it a padding of what? 10 pixels. So I hover on it now, you can see the padding has increased. The padding size has increased, right? So now let's give it a border radius of 30 pixels also. So you see now, so I hover on it, the padding changes, everything changes. It's not like this. This is actually looking good. So that should be all for BTN 1. So now let's edit BTN 2, right? So for BTN 2, just going to select the ID to BTN 2, right? So for BTN 2, I want it to be that I want my width of BTN 2 to be 100%. I want it to cover the full container, right? So I can just say width 100%. Cool. Just cover the container. So just cover the container. It means that there's no need for this color. So I can take down this background color. Yeah. So BTN 2. So let's give BTN 2 a color. Let's change the text color. Okay. My semicolon back. Let's change the color of BTN 2. The text color to be still blue. Right? Cool. So still blue with white, with Alice blue background. Let's change the background to Alice blue. Alice background color, Alice blue. So cool. And then I want to apply some properties when I hover on it. So ATN over, right? So I'm just going to, when I hover on it, I'm going to change the background color from steel blue to Alice blue. No, I'm going to change the background color from Alice blue to steel blue. So see now, it has changed. So let's edit our text to show. So color of text. I want the color of text to be steel blue when I over. So no, background color is steel blue. Show the text color should be Alice blue. See now, looks great. Yeah. So I want transition. Of course, I want to have transition too. So the change will not be so sharp. Transition 0.3 seconds. And then I want to give it a border radius. So just the way I did for the first one. And over border radius should be 30 pixels. And then padding too should be 10 pixels when I hover it. Right. So say cool. It actually makes a lot of sense this way. So yeah. So yeah, that is it. So let's make this the main container. Let me make this main container 100%. I think it's better wider, right? So let's make that 100%, and then let's make of course I'm going to edit the see details button. So go to container 2. Let's make it 100%. Yeah, I think it's better this way. So yeah. So now let's design our footer, right? So we just call the footer the element selector. So select by element footer. Let's give our footer. Let's first of all position our footer, right? So give our footer a position of fixed. Let's give it fixed, and then let's push it to the bottom. So let's say bottom. I don't want it hanging, so let's say bottom equals to 0. Yeah, so it has pushed our footer to the bottom, right? So now let's give our footer a width of 100%. I want the footer to cover. Therefore, give it the footer a background color. Let's see where it's covering. I see where it's covering. So now I want to give it a width of 100%. Width of 100%. It's covering everywhere now. And then let's give it let's text align. Let the text align at the center. So text align center. Right, cool. That's looking nice. And then let's give it a padding, right? So let's just give it a padding VH. So padding 5 VH, right? And then let's what next? Let's give it let me change the color, right? Let me change the background color. So I would like something that is kind of gray. Gray. So if you are confused about what color to use um for your design, you don't need to suffer yourself so much. You can just click on this, right, and just play around it. So as I'm playing around it now, you can see it's changing, right? You can see the footer is changing. So I think I like this. I think I like this color. Oh, let's look at something. So we just, so I think I like this. Let's go a bit. Let's go down here a bit. Cool. So, yeah, let me um, for a better gray, right? So I guess I'll just go with this. Yeah. So our page is actually looking nice. So yeah, we have fill in, we have see details, we have our footer. So let's see. Let's see. So now let's go to developer tools. This is where our page looks like. 150 pixels for this. So let's go to developers tools and see how responsive our page is. So if you go to developers tool, you have access to this this part of the page. Reference F is not defined. I've not gone, that's script that's coming from script.js. There's a typo there. So let's focus on this. So right. Let's just play around this. So yeah, we already have different font sizes. We can just look at the way it looks in different font sizes. So in iPhone SE, this is how my page looks. In iPhone XR, this is how it looks. In iPhone 12 Pro, this is how it looks. So nothing is no, there's no scroll bar, nothing is badging out. You can see that it's like using percentage is just so cool. It just takes away many of the problem. Many problem that you have to do it just takes it away. Right. So you can just check the different font sizes and see the way it looks on this one, where it looks on this. So if you want it to look differently on, if you want it to look differently on the different screen sizes, you cannot add major queries and say, okay, on Surface Pro 7, I want this to be pink, or I want this part to take like half of the screen. Depending on what you want, you cannot add media queries. But me, I'm very okay with this. It is responsive, right? It is okay. See the way it looks on this very small screen. You can see that everything is adjusting. You can see that everything is adjusting. If I click on this thing now, let's click on this selector, and then I click on this. Let's see the values. You can see. You remember that I gave my button filling. I gave it a size of 153 pixels, and then the 150 pixels, and then this um universal selector added max width to all of them. If I remove this max width from this universal selector, you see that my 153 pixels is actually, it's as if the button is trying to budge out, right? It's budging out from the like 100% of the container, right? But if I click on this max width now, you can see that it contains it shifts it back and say take only 100% of the container. But if I remove the max width, it actually takes more than 100%, which is what we don't want, right? So that's why we have the max width there. So here now, it is taking 100%, right? Let me see the, if you look, if you hover on this now, right? This is too small. You can see here. Let's go to, let's make this bigger. So if you over on this, if you over on this now, right, you can see that the button here is taking what? 120 pixels. As at this point, this size of screen, the 100% is 120 pixels, and it's taking that 100% as 120 pixels. It abandons the 150 pixels I give to it and takes the max width of 100 pixels, right? So it is responsive. Percentage actually takes away many of your stress and just makes your work kind of responsive, right? So I don't want this to be 100%, so I can see this from where. So let's make this 50%. So you can just check across different font sizes, right? Or if you don't want to do that, you can write you can do this, right? You can do this, right? Do this just to see the way it responds, and you can see that it is very, very what? It is responsive, right? It adjusts itself, right? It adjusts itself. It doesn't want to budge out, right? Just keeps on adjusting, adjusting, adjusting. Cool. So yeah, so my design is actually responsive. So I can close my developer tool now, right? So this design is actually cool, right? So the next step now is to apply JavaScript, right? So I'm going to be doing that in another video. Thank you. I hope you learned a lot.